Jackson. Oh, a fumble into the end zone and covered by McNeil for...
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video, and welcome to the Gridiron. And before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been watching my videos, maybe subscribing to my channel, maybe give my videos a thumbs up, or anything at all you can do to help me and my channel. I greatly appreciate it. I'm just trying to get my channel up and running. Anything you guys can do to help me out, I greatly appreciate it. So thank you so much. In the continuing series here, let's see, today we're going over the New York Giants ranking the top 10 tight ends for the Giants all time. And tomorrow we'll end the series with the top 10 offensive linemen of all time. All right, but once again, this list for the tight end is very subjective. You know, you got to keep in mind, like the tight end, like the name tight end, I wasn't really, you know, a thing in the 40s or the 50s, or you know, I mean, it didn't really come into name too much until like say that like the 60s, right? So I mean, we're talking maybe like the last 50 years or so. And as I said, once again, this list is very subjective. A lot of these guys don't have phenomenal numbers, as we'll see with our first guy, number 10. They got Gary Shirk. Okay, he was there from some lean years from 1976 to 1982. He was from Morehead State, huh? And not only that, but in 1979, the Giants drafted in the first round a quarterback from Morehead State, Phil Simms. So the Giants for 79, 80, 81, 82, 4 years had two players on their roster from Morehead State, that football powerhouse, huh? But Gary Shirk, he was with the Giants from 76 to 82. He was started in the World Football League in 1974. So 1974, 1975, he was with the Memphis Southmen of the WFL. Then he came to the Giants. He played in 101 games for the Giants. You know, we're not talking gaudy numbers here, okay? The only thing gaudy pretty much from 76 to 82 with the Giants was the amount of losses that they had, okay? But, you know, the time he was with the Giants, he had 130 catches for 1,640 yards, and he had 11 touchdown catches, all right? In 1981, you know, it was probably his best year. That was also the best year the Giants had during his tenure there. He was second on the team in receptions with 42. Let's not forget 1981. That was the first year the Giants went to the playoffs for the first year since 1963. All right, they won the last game of the season against the Cowboys, 13-10 in overtime, to go to 9-7. They had to wait till Monday night for the Jets to play the Packers. They had to hope and pray that the Jets would beat the Packers, because the Packers won that game. The Packers would have made the playoffs and the Giants would have been knocked out. But the Jets won. They beat the Packers rather handily, actually. The Jets won, so not only the Jets went to the playoffs, but the Giants got to go to the playoffs. So Gary Shirk is number 10. Number 9 is Joe Walton. He's pretty much the first one, you know, that we can kind of call maybe a tight end for the Giants, so to speak. He played from 1961 to 1964. They have it on 61 to 64, but in 64, he really didn't play for the Giants. He was put on injured reserve. He had like shoulder and knee injuries that he was recovering from. So he really didn't play much in 64, if at all. I mean, the only numbers that I saw for him was from 1961 and 1963. He played in 37 games with the Giants in those 3 years. He caught 95 passes. 1,321 yards, but he did have 17 touchdowns for the Giants in his 3 years. Now, he caught 3 touchdown passes in a game twice in 1962. He did one time against Washington, and he did it another time against the Dallas Cowboys, both in 1962. And not only that, but he caught Y.A. Tittle. It was against Washington. The Giants beat him 49-34. Y.A. Tittle had 7 touchdown passes, which tied an NFL record against Washington Redskins, and Joe Walton caught the 7th touchdown pass, so he's a little part of history there. He also coached the Jets from 1983 to 1989 as well. So I mean, so after he coached with the Giants a little bit. I know he's in their scouting system, but he's been a coach for a long time, ever since then. But he's pretty much he was a short stint with the Giants, but you know the time he was there, he did very well. But I mean he only played 3 years with the Giants. Number 8, they have here on this list Evan Ingram from 2017 to the present. All right. Now, Evan Ingram in his time with the Giants, his 216 catches for 2,420 yards and 13 touchdowns. Now, this is all subjective. I mean, Evan Ingram is, you know, athletic-wise, probably the best person on this list here. Tight end-wise, he might be the worst one on the list. I mean, blocking and all that wise, but the potential, especially offensive-wise, the numbers he could possibly put up, the mismatch, he's far and away the best one here. You know, but I mean, as far as, you know, blocking and all, he's not. So, but they have him in number 8 now. I mean, if he turns things around and has a phenomenal season here, and somehow the Giants wind up signing him, and he plays another 3-4 years or whatever with the Giants, and his numbers get even greater and greater, obviously he's going to come way down on this list. But right now they got him at number 8. Then they got number 7. They got Zeke Mowat. All right, Zeke Mowat was with the Giants from 1983 to 1989, and then 1991. Now, so he was a Super Bowl champion in the 1986 season. Unfortunately for him, he 1990 he went to the Patriots, and he was in like some type of a there was a reporter, Lisa Olson, was interviewing, and when he was with the Patriots, and they were in a locker room, and Zeke Mowat and 2 other guys from the Patriots were kind of like sexually, I don't know, flashing their privates to her and stuff like that, and they all got fined. They all got in trouble. Zeke, I think, got fined like the most. He was like $12,500, but none of them got suspended or anything like that. So I mean, their punishment was rather minimal. But he didn't have a very good tenure there with the Patriots. Then he came back and played 1 more year with the Giants in 1991. But unfortunately for him, he missed the 1990 season, which is the season the Giants wound up winning the Super Bowl. But it is what it is. But he got his 1 Super Bowl champion in 1986. Now, he wound up catching, you know, in his time with the Giants, he only had 129 catches for 1,698 yards and 12 touchdowns. So, I mean, once again, not very gaudy numbers. He was there mostly. You know, he was a very good blocker. Okay. But the one thing he does have, the distinction he does have, he has the first touchdown in New York Giants history. All right, he caught a touchdown pass from Bill Sims against the Denver Broncos in 1986, the Super Bowl 21. All right, so he has that distinction going for himself. All right, so if you ever ask that Trivial Pursuit question, who has the Giants' first touchdown in Super Bowl history for them, it's Zeke Mowat. All right, then we got number 6 on the list. We got Kevin Boss. All right, once again, he was only with the Giants for 4 years. 2007 to 2010. Actually, the only reason why he got a chance to get in there and play was because Jeremy Shockey broke his leg in his 3rd to last game, I think it was, of the season against the Redskins. If he didn't break his fibula against the Redskins, Jeremy Shockey would have been in there, would have played through the playoffs, would have been in the Super Bowl, and you know, so Kevin Boss may not even be on this list. But Kevin Boss's time, 4 years with the Giants, he had 119 catches for 1,600 yards and did 18 touchdown receptions. But he has 2 very, very important catches for the Giants, especially in the 2007, the playoff, the run. And one was in the playoffs against the Cowboys, and the other one was in the Super Bowl. I think. Now, with the one against the Cowboys, just before halftime, there was 17 seconds left to go. The Cowboys are down 14 to Cowboys are winning 14-7. All right. Giants have the ball. It's 3rd and 10 at the Cowboys' 23-yard line. Okay. He catches a pass from Eli. All right. He goes out of bounds at the 5-yard line. Stops the clock. All right. Then on the next play, Eli hits Amani Toomer with the touchdown pass, ties it up at 14. But his catch was at 3rd and 10. If he doesn't catch it, it doesn't get the first down. The Giants kick a field goal there. They go down into the locker room down 14-10. In the second half, the Cowboys kicked the field goal, and the Giants scored a touchdown. So that would have left the game tied at 17-17, possibly with the Cowboys deep in the Giants' territory right at the end of the game. Well, remember, at the end of the game, Tony Romo has to throw up. He had to throw the ball in the end zone, and it was intercepted. But they were well in field goal range. So if the score was tied at 17, the Cowboys kick a field goal there at the end of the game, and maybe the Giants don't ever get to the Super Bowl. So that was a huge catch by Kevin Boss. Then, let's not forget, in the Super Bowl, against New England, all right, going into the fourth quarter, the Giants had 3 points. They were down 7-3 in the 2007 Super Bowl against the Patriots. So with 14 minutes and 52 seconds left to go, basically in the game, at our own 20, Eli hits Boss for a 45-yard reception. Okay. He gets the Giants offense up and running. All right. Then on that same drive is when David Tyree caught not the helmet catch. All right. That was on the next touchdown drive. But David Tyree actually caught a touchdown pass in the end zone to put the Giants up 10-7. That was huge. I mean, the Giants had 3 points going into the fourth quarter. They scored their 2 touchdowns in the last period, and because of Kevin Boss's 45-yard catch, that got the Giants jump started. And possibly was the key to their victory. All right. So Kevin Boss only played 4 years, with the Giants, but they were very, very important years. Unfortunately for him, after 2010, I think he went to the Raiders. If he would have re-signed with the Giants, he would have gotten himself another Super Bowl ring. But it is what it is. At least he has one. All right, then we got number 5. Right, we have Howard Cross, one of my personal favorites. Right, the guy was never flashy, but he was with the Giants for 13 years, 1989 to 2001. Right, he won Super Bowl 25 champion when we beat the Bills. 10 years later, he went back to the Super Bowl with the Giants when we got cremated by the Ravens. But during his 13 years with the Giants, he had 201 receptions. Basically, he caught like 15 on an average, about 15 or 16 passes a year. On an average, he caught like 1 pass a game, okay? He had 2,194 receiving yards, and he only had 17 touchdowns. So basically, he had like 1 touchdown a year. He caught 1 pass a game. I mean, very minimal, but he was a phenomenal blocker. Okay, you're not a tight end. Even back in the 90s, you're not a tight end on a team for 13 years, and you catch 1 pass a game if you don't do some things absolutely phenomenal. And he was a fantastic blocker. And we were very, very lucky. Even he didn't no gaudy numbers or nothing, but the Giants were very, very lucky to have Howard Cross on our team for those 13 years. So Howard Cross comes in at number 5. Number 4. My all-time favorite, Bob Tucker, okay? When I started watching football in 1970, he was a rookie then. He came in from Bloomsburg. I saw online, it said Bloomsburg University. I thought it was Bloomsburg College, but maybe it's a university now. I don't know. I thought he came out of Bloomsburg College. But he was playing like semi-pro with the... in the Philadelphia area, semi-pro football with Frankfurt, I believe it was. And then the Giants in 1970 gave him a chance. He wasn't drafted or nothing. He made the team. And boy, he was on the team from 1970 to 1977. Thankfully for him, he got traded to a good team. As time wore on, he was just noticing, during 74, 75, 76, 77, he's like, man, we stink. I got to get the heck out of here. Well, he went to the Minnesota Vikings to finish up his career, so good for him. But From 1970 to 1977, he was with the Giants, right? He always, very good sure hands, very good blocker. He would catch the ball, right, and he would run. He would hold the ball like a loaf of Jewish fry. You'd see him. You ever see him on highlights? He's running. He never, ain't none of this. He's got the ball in one hand running. You don't do that stuff nowadays for the most part. But he finished his career with the Giants. Okay, he had 327 receptions, right, in his 8 years. So basically, he averaged like 40 catches a year, right, for 4,376 yards, and he caught 22 touchdowns. Right. He was one of, there's not many guys, all right, but he was one of a few players for the Giants that played in 4 different home stadiums for the Giants. From 1970 to the first 2 games of 1973, Bob Tucker played for the Giants in Yankee Stadium. After the second home game of the season in 1973, the Giants finished up 73 and 74 in the Yale Bowl in Connecticut. That was their home. 1975, Bob Tucker and the Giants, they played in Shea Stadium. They shared the games with the Jets there. And in 1976, he opened up Giant Stadium. So he played in 4 different home stadiums during his career. He also led, all right, there was only 3 times a New York Giant led. Actually, one of the times the Giants led the NFC in receiving, it was a tie. Ernest Gray, all right, 1983, all right, him and 2 other guys had 78 receptions, but Ernest Gray was tied for the lead, right? But Bob Tucker in 1959 had 50, Bob Tucker in 1971 had 59 receptions. That was number 1 in the NFC. He was number 2 in the NFL. Fred Biletnikoff of the Raiders had 61 receptions in 1971. He led the entire NFL. However, Bob Tucker only played in 12 games. He missed 2 games. If Bob Tucker had played in those 2 additional games, he would have had more than 61 catches, and he would have led the entire NFL in receptions. But, not to be, but he led the NFC in 1971. The Giants were only 4-10, and he led the NFC in receptions with 59. And the only other time a Giant led the NFC in receiving was Steve Smith in 2009. He has the franchise record, 107 receptions in 2009. It's a shame Steve Smith got hurt. It is what it is. But Bob Tucker is number 4. He's my all-time favorite. Then you got number 3, Aaron Thomas. He was with the Giants from 1962 to 1970. He played in 2 championship games. 1962, we lost to the Packers. 1963, we lost to the Bears. He was a Pro Bowler in 1964. He caught his best season with the Giants was he caught 9 touchdown passes in 1967. That was the first year Fran Tarkenton was with the Giants. He played in 117 games for the Giants. He caught 247 receptions for 4,253 yards. But get this, he had a 17.2 yards per catch average. Phenomenal. And he had 35 touchdowns for the time that he was with the Giants. So he did very, very good. Said he was with the Giants from 62 to 70. 62 and 63, the Giants were good. From 64 to 70, we were kind of like, we had a couple bad years in there, and we had some mediocre years. So he was a shining star in some not so good years for us. So Aaron Thomas comes in at number 3. Number 2, Jeremy Shockey. All right. He was with the Giants from 2002 to 2007. He has a Super Bowl ring from 2007. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. After the 02, 03, 05, and 06 season, he was the first team All-Pro in 2002. All right. Now, he had some very good numbers. All right, 371 receptions for 4,228 yards and 27 touchdowns. Okay, and he only played 6 years, 2002, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He only played 6 years, and he had some very good numbers. He averaged over 60 catches a year, over 700 yards a year, okay? And he averaged, 4 or 5 touchdown catches a year. So he did very, very good for the Giants in a short amount of time he was there. Unfortunately for him, he broke his leg, his fibula, in the 3rd to last game of the season. they broke it against Washington, and then they played 2 more games after that in 2007. So he pretty much sat up in the stands, or not in the stands, but in like the owner's box or whatever it was during the playoffs and in the Super Bowl and all that. So he got a Super Bowl ring. He got a chance to see. But when I was reading that, he really didn't participate in any kind of team celebrations because he figures that he didn't deserve or he didn't help him win. I mean, he got him to the 14th game of the season, you know, but I guess he figures he didn't participate in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, so he didn't participate in any team celebrations at all. But he did get himself a Super Bowl ring. Then he got himself another Super Bowl ring after the 2010 season with the New Orleans Saints. That one he participated in. He got a ring, and he did celebrate with the team on that one. So Jeremy Shockey, okay, got himself 2 Super Bowl rings, 2 very well-deserved Super Bowl rings. He was outspoken, but he's one of those guys, you know what, if he's on your team, you love him. Maybe he's one of those guys, if he's not on your team, because the way he would talk and all that and everything, you probably hated his guts. But he was on your team, you loved him. And I'll tell you what, I was so happy the Giants drafted him in the first round of the 2002 draft. Then we got, number 1, is there any question, Mark Bavaro. He played from the Giants only from 1985 to 1990. You know, he only played, a short period of time with the Giants, the 6 seasons. He was a 2-time Super Bowl champion, though, so that was good. So his last season with the Giants was 1990. He missed the entire 91 season because he was having problems with his knees. The doctors wanted him, who are working on his knees, operating and all that, recommended that he retired. But he played 3 more years after that. 1991, okay, he went to the Cleveland Browns under Bill Belichick, who was coaching the Browns then. So he played 1 year with the Browns. All right, then he finished his career out. 1992. He played with the Browns. Because he missed the 91 season. 93 and 94, his last 2 seasons in the NFL, he finished up with the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, I hate even saying that. He didn't look right. I'm 20 minutes from Philly, so I got to see all the games. He did not look good in Eagle Green. I'll tell you that much right now. But he finished his career up with the Giants, all right, with 266 catches, right? That was just in 6 years, all right. 3,722 yards receiving, and he had 28 touchdowns. But he was a phenomenal blocker, absolutely phenomenal. He was tough. He played one time 6 weeks with a broken jaw. I think the New Orleans Saints broke his jaw, and he played 6 weeks with a broken. He had I guess protein shake. He couldn't talk. He couldn't eat any food. He had to suck food through a straw for 6 weeks. But of course, his most memorable moment of all came in the 1986 season. We were on the road playing San Francisco. We were losing 17-0 at halftime. The Giants scored 3 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter and held 49ers scoreless in the second half. And the Giants walked away with a 21-17 victory. All right, but more important than that was early in the 3rd quarter, the Giants were down 17-0. They had the ball right around midfield. Phil Simms dropped back to pass, hit Mark Bavaro about 10 yards down the field. Mark Bavaro caught the ball at about the 40-yard line of the 49ers. Turned around, started running, and right around the 31 or the 30-yard line, Ronnie Lott, the future Hall of Fame safety, latched on to Mark Bavaro. And then over the next about 12 or 13 yards, 2 or 3 other 49ers latched on too. They were trying to tackle him. Well, about 12 or 13 yards later, he finally got tackled around the 18-yard line. So he drug Ronnie Lott with him for like 12 or 13 yards. And that was like a signature play. And that jump-started the Giants in that game and on their way to, shortly right after that, Phil Simms hit Joe Morris with a touchdown pass to give the Giants their first 7 points of the game. They scored 2 more touchdowns in the 3rd quarter, and they wound up winning 21-17. But that play was absolutely huge. And I remember in an interview. Mark Bavaro, he's a man of few words. He wouldn't say much of anything. Bill Parcells called him a stone face. He said, you never know what that guy was thinking. But in an interview, somebody, I forgot who it was, but somebody asked Mark Bavaro about that, you know, what was going through your mind as you were, you know, running with the ball and all that. He's like, man, I don't know. I caught the ball and they started piling on. I'm like, how come they're not tackling me? And I guess you'd have to say the same thing. I mean, you know, you catch the ball at the 30 and you got by the time 12, 13 yards go by, you got 3 or 4. Well, none of them were grabbing his leg. They were all just piling on the top of him, and he just carried them with him. And I'll tell you what, he certainly deserves to be #1 on this list, Mark Bavaro. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants!